My name is Lily O'Flynn and I'm from the UK Statistics Authority. I help lead the Secretariat to the UK Statistics Authority's Research Accreditation Panel and provide policy advice on the operationalisation of the research strand of the Digital Economy Act. I'll be talking about the opportunities provided by the research strand of the Digital Economy Act to open up access to public authority data for public good research. The Digital Economy Act is an important piece of legislation that provides legal certainty that public authorities can share non-health related de-identified data for research and statistical purposes, should they wish to do so. I'm also going to discuss the UK Statistics Authority's data ethics framework. Using data in an ethically appropriate way is an important enabler for unlocking the potential of data for research and statistical purposes because, one, we must ensure that both the data subjects and those involved in the research are protected, and two, public trust in the use of public authority data is maintained so that impactful research in the public good can continue to be carried out. The UK Statistics Authority is an independent body at arm's length from government which reports directly to UK Parliament. The Statistics and Registration Service Act of 2007 established the authority with a statutory objective of promoting and safeguarding the production and publication of official statistics that serve the public good. The UK Statistics Authority's strategy for the next 5 years, Statistics for the Public Good, sets out the authority's mission to produce and promote high-quality data and analysis to inform the UK, improve lives and build the future. The research framework provided by the Digital Economy Act that I will discuss today supports better access to data for the research community across the UK. It supports a central pillar of the UK Statistics Authority strategy by enabling the wider research community to harness the power of both administrative data and survey data, maximising the analytical impact of the data held by our public authorities. To ensure our data is always for the public good, data ethics is becoming ever more important. The UK Statistics Authority wants to be a recognised world leader in the practical application of data ethics for statistics and research and is establishing a centre of excellence to deliver this. The Digital Economy Act research framework was designed in response to calls from the research community and government departments to provide legal certainty and clarity for public authorities and researchers that data can be disclosed for research purposes. It is an often cited problem that legal ambiguity and uncertainty stops public authorities from sharing data for research and statistical purposes. The Administrative Data Task Force, formed by the Economic and Social Research Council, the Medical Research Council, and Wellcome Trust, summarised the issue in their 2012 report, stating that government departments, local authorities, agencies, and other public bodies face different legal restrictions on the nature of the access they may provide for research using data they control. This sentiment has been echoed more recently by the Centre for Data Ethics and Innovation and Administrative Data Research UK. The task force recommend that primary legislation should be sought to provide a generic legal gateway for research and statistical purposes that enables efficient access to and linkage between administrative data held by different government departments, agencies, and other statutory bodies. The Digital Economy Act solves this issue by providing a clear legal gateway for public authorities to use to make data available for public good research purposes, should they wish to. Therefore, the research strand of the Digital Economy Act was designed in response to calls from the research community, government departments, and devolved administrations to provide this legal certainty and clarity for both public authorities and the research community that data can be disclosed for research purposes. The Act received Royal Assent in 2017. The Research Code of Practice and Accreditation criteria complements the legislation by setting out the conditions under which de-identified public authority data can be disclosed for research purposes. In providing a generic legal gateway that can be used by any public authorities to make de-identified data available, the research powers in the Digital Economy Act were developed to facilitate cross-government data sharing for the purposes of public good research, helping to ensure that the economic and social benefits associated with such research are more easily realised. Public authority data that has been collected for the provision of health and social care services cannot currently be made available for research purposes under the DEA. Researchers wishing to access health data, along with data made available under the DEA, must obtain permission to use health data using pre-existence governance routes. In this way, health research is enabled via the Digital Economy Act through collaboration with health data governance organisations, and we are continuing to work with key groups across government to improve this service for researchers. The legal certainty provided to public authorities under the DEA cuts through the perceived complex legislative landscape that researchers may face when applying to access secure data. The DEA clearly provides a single route for researchers to gain access to securely held public authority data. Unlike many department-specific legal gateways, the DEA research powers can be used simultaneously by multiple data-owning public authorities, providing one centralized governance route for access to linked datasets. This should lead to more consistent governance decisions across the research and statistics system and more efficient access to data for researchers. The Research Code of Practice and Accreditation criteria places strict requirements on the sharing of data for research purposes. The governance processes attached to the DEA accreditation are transparent and robust by default, designed to maintain public trust and satisfy data owners that de-identified data will be accessed safely and securely in accredited processing environments. Through operationalising the Digital Economy Act, the UK Statistics Authority also looks to increase the geographic spread and availability of data access points for the research community. There now exists a UK-wide network of Digital Economy Act accredited data processing environments that researchers can use to gain access to data available under the DEA gateway. For example, these include the Office for National Statistics Secure Research Service, SAIL Databank, NISRA's Research Support Unit, and the UK Data Archive. The provisions set out under the Digital Economy Act benefit all of those involved with the disclosure of secure data for research purposes. Firstly, for researchers, the DEA is a single legal gateway with established governance framework that allows researchers to apply for access to data from multiple data owners through one governance process. The DEA is particularly beneficial for researchers wanting to link from multiple data owners. It is potentially able to remove the need for researchers to obtain approval from multiple access approvals panels. For data owners, the DEA provides legal certainty that de-identified data can be lawfully shared for research purposes under the conditions set out in the Act. The safeguards upheld within the DEA's governance framework are publicly acceptable and received widespread support from data owners, researchers and stakeholders during the open policymaking and public consultation phases during the legislation's recent journey through Parliament. For the wider public, the DEA was designed to maintain public trust and confidence in the data access process. The UK Statistics Authority appointed the Research Accreditation Panel to oversee accreditation decisions under the Act to ensure that these decisions on data access are made independently and consistently. The panel's decisions are recorded and published on the UK Stats Authority website and underpinned by a statutory code of practice and accreditation criteria which has been approved by Parliament. The Research Accreditation Panel oversees the independent accreditation of processors, researchers, and research projects under the Digital Economy Act. The role of the Research Accreditation Panel, commonly known as the RAP, is to ensure that the process for granting access to this de-identified data to accredited researchers is independent, consistent, and transparent. The RAP assesses each research project request to ensure that there is a clear public benefit, analytical merit, feasibility, mitigation of privacy impacts, and formal ethical review. The panel also provides the governance of the accreditation of researchers and processors who wish to use the Digital Economy Act for the purposes and functions set out in the Act. This involves having oversight of the training of accredited researchers and the security standards, policies and procedures that processors must comply with to become accredited. Since October 2019, the Research Accreditation Panel has accredited 89 research projects under the Digital Economy Act. These range from urgent COVID-related analysis to support real-time government decision-making, to policy analysis and evaluation, and projects supporting government research priorities. The COVID-19 Infection Survey, which is being undertaken in partnership between the University of Oxford, Office for National Statistics, University of Manchester, Public Health England and Wellcome Trust, is an outstanding example of how the DEA research framework has enabled fast-paced and joined-up research access to public authority data to enable important policy-relevant research. With the results of the project being published weekly, the COVID-19 Infection Survey provides the government with data on levels of COVID-19 infection and immunity in private households in England and is currently being expanded to include the UK population. The Research Accreditation Panel accredited this project within 72 hours of its submission to allow for timely access to public authority data. To ensure the public good of this research is maximised, the data collected for this project will be available in DEA accredited processing environments for wider research use. In maximising the research and statistical uses of these new opportunities, it is important that consideration is not just given to what research we could do, but also to what research we should do, to ensure that we use data in an ethically appropriate way for which is in the public good. This helps to reduce potential harm to all individuals involved in the research and helps to maintain public acceptability around the use of data for research and statistical purposes. In this way, considering the ethics of our research is an important enabler in mobilising the power of data to improve the research and statistics that we produce. To consider the ethics of the use of data for research and statistical purposes, the UK Statistics Authority has developed a number of ethical principles that can be seen in this slide. These have been developed with the National Statistician's Data Ethics Advisory Committee, which is an independent committee established to provide the National Statistician with independent ethics advice and assurance that the collection, access, use, and sharing of data for research and statistical purposes is ethical and serves the public good. Taking the first of these principles, public good. The use of data must have clear benefits for users and must serve the public good. It is central to our use of data in the UK Statistics Authority as it is set out in the Statistics and Registration Service Act and the Digital Economy Act. Research in the public good includes research that informs the public about social and economic matters and assists in the development and evaluation of public policy. Being able to articulate the public good in a use of data is sometimes a challenge for researchers and statisticians, as it goes beyond just being able to articulate the statistics produced from the use of that data and involves clearly communicating the better decisions and policies that the statistics and research will potentially inform. The second principle is about protecting data subjects' privacy and confidentiality. The data subject's identity, whether that be a person or organisation, should be protected and information kept secure. This involves things such as using secure environments with strict access controls to access data, transferring data securely, and carrying out statistical disclosure control to ensure nobody is identified from any research outputs. These security provisions are built into the Research Code of Practice and Accreditation criteria and therefore are inherent in research carried out under the Digital Economy Act. With regards to methods and quality, the quality of data sources needs to be fit for the research purpose they are being put to. The risks and limits of new technologies should also be considered, and there should be sufficient human oversight so that methods employed are consistent with recognised standards of integrity and quality. Regarding legal compliance, the data used and methods employed should be consistent with the legal gateway being used to access the data, such as the Digital Economy Act, and legal requirements such as data protection legislation and the Human Rights Act. The fifth principle is about considering public views and engaging with the public. The views of the public should be considered in light of the data used and the perceived benefits of the research. Public engagement is an effective technique to help identify and address potential ethical issues. But direct public engagement is not always proportionate. In these instances, consideration of what else has already been done to seek the views of the public about the use of the data for research and statistical purposes can be called on. There is a body of engagement work that suggests that when the public good of using data for research and statistical purposes is shown and the safeguards are explained, such as using de-identified data in a secure accredited environment, the public are supportive of the use of data for research and statistical purposes. The final principle is about ensuring we operate transparently. Again, this is a clear requirement set out in the Digital Economy Act. Use of the data should be transparent and communicated clearly so the public know what data is being used, why it is being used, and what the outputs are from the use of this data. So those are the principles we use to consider the ethics of our work. But having principles isn't enough in itself. We want to make sure that they are used and have impact on research and statistical production. To do this, we have developed a self-assessment tool that researchers can use to self-assess their research against these ethical principles. We've also established the National Statistician's Data Ethics Advisory Committee, who independently assess research against these principles. When using the self-assessment tool, researchers assess and score their research against 22 items grouped around those 6 ethical principles. The tool provides an average ethical risk score for the research project based on the researcher's self-assessment scores. So, the tool provides a consistent framework to self-assess the ethics of research against the UK Statistics Authority's ethical principles at the research design phase, thus promoting a culture of ethics by design. The UK Statistics Authority helps researchers to complete the ethics self-assessment by providing expert user support, ethics training, and online guidance that you can see in this slide. User feedback suggests that this is really important as it provides a valuable service to researchers to help them consider the ethics of their research, and therefore helps in getting the self-assessment tool used widely, which increases its impact. This is what the self-assessment looks like, and it is available on the UK Statistics Authority website. It asks for a project summary, and it then asks for the researchers to score and assess their research against 22 items grouped against the 6 ethical principles discussed. Researchers are asked to score their research and provide a justification for their score. Scores are provided by researchers either on a 1 to 5 scale or a 3-point scale, depending on the item they are scoring. Guidance on scoring their research is provided. The tool provides an average ethical risk score for the research project based on the researcher's answers. The red areas reflect tolerances that cannot be exceeded. This is to stop unacceptably high ethical risk scores on 1 or 2 items being averaged out by lower scores on other items. We have also developed weightings that are applied to the overall ethical risk score to reflect that certain methods and types of data, such as data on vulnerable groups or health data, are particularly ethically risky. We keep these weightings under continuous review to reflect methodological developments and wider contextual changes. The final ethical risk score of a research project corresponds to a suggested course of action for the researcher. The researcher then works with the ethics user support team provided by the UK Statistics Authority to review the self-assessment, identify areas of ethical risk, and identify possible mitigations. Those projects that are considered most ethically risky are taken to the National Statistician's Data Ethics Advisory Committee so that they can benefit from the independent advice and scrutiny the committee can offer. The National Statistician's Data Ethics Advisory Committee has been established to provide independent and transparent advice to the National Statistician that the collection, access, use, and sharing of data for research and statistical purposes is ethical and for the public good. It consists of experts from academia and the commercial sector in data ethics, data law, and research and statistics. It also includes a lay member to provide a valuable non-expert view and representatives from several government departments. The majority independent membership ensures the committee provides impartial and credible advice and external perspectives and challenge the use of data. The UK Statistics Authority's ethics framework, either in the form of the self-assessment tool or the National Statistician's Data Ethics Advisory Committee, has been widely used. Here are some of the organisations that have used the framework. These include statisticians and researchers from across government and researchers from academia, local government and the commercial sector who have accessed government data for research and statistical purposes. Here is also a small sample of the projects that NSDEC has seen. They encompass a range of topics and methods, including data linkage and social surveys from across the government research community and beyond. 85% of the research projects enabled by the Digital Economy Act thus far have used the UK Statistics Authority's ethical framework to consider the ethics of their work and receive ethical advice and guidance without needing to apply to an external ethics committee. This work has helped hundreds of researchers across the government statistical service, academia, and the commercial sector to consider the ethics of their use of data. We want to continue to develop our work in the data ethics space. The recent UK Statistics Authority strategy stated that data ethics will become ever more important and outlined an ambition to be recognised as world leaders in the practical application of data ethics for statistics and research, with a centre of excellence to deliver this. To summarise, the research strand of the Digital Economy Act provides a statutory framework permitting public authorities to share de-identified information with accredited researchers for the purposes of accredited research using accredited processes. If public authorities want to share non-health data for research purposes, the DEA provides a gateway for them to do so. This is potentially important as for many years, legal issues have been cited as blockers that have prevented public authorities from sharing data for research and statistical purposes. This has no doubt contributed to conservative data sharing decisions being made by government departments. This policy is designed to make clear that where public authorities wish to, they can share non-health data for research and statistical purposes. There is no legal blocker as the Digital Economy Act can be used. The UK Statistics Authority uses both the Digital Economy Act research framework and its ethics framework to facilitate and enable public good research that is ethically appropriate and safeguarded. More information about the research framework provided by the Digital Economy Act and the UK Statistics Authority's ethical principles, including methods of using these, is available on our website. We can be also contacted using the emails provided. Thank you very much for listening.